Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Design Art. And today, I'm really excited as we have an amazing guest. He has spent the last decade creating award winning digital experiences for some of the world's most prominent brands, impacting millions of lives and resulting in billion in transactions. He is also a speaker, a podcast host, college instructor, and a design mentor. Without further delay, let me introduce you to Tony. Hey, Tony, thank you for taking us time for us.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. It's my pleasure.
So tell us about yourself, Tony. Where are you? What do you do? Where are you joining us from?
Well, I live in Texas and the Dallas area, and I work for a company called Bottle Rocket. I'm a managing experience design strategist there. And we are essentially digital growth consultants for companies all around the world. And what my job is to come in and help create the vision of the project in tandem with, product management, with heads of technology, with project, with visual design, and really create a path for these companies to engage with customers on a deeper, more meaningful level, as well as propel and grow their business with velocity. So that's essentially what I do and what we do.
Wow, that's amazing work.
Thank you. Thanks so much. I feel very honored to be a part of the company, and I get to work from home now, so that's kind of cool too. We have a great
Same,
office, but they offered it up, so I I took it.
same is the case here as well. We are also working from home nowadays.
Yeah, a lot of people are. It's the new normal. I think it's great.
Yeah, that's the new normal. Cool. So I think Tony, today we'll be talking about design thinking, which is a very known term, but a lot of people have a lot of questions about design thinking. So I wanted to know from you, like, what does design thinking mean for you?
I think it's actually very interesting because there are a lot of companies and a lot of teams that say that they use design thinking and that they say or they purport to be design thinkers when if you really boil it down and analyze their workflow, it's a version of it, right? And I think that that's fair. The traditional sense, the traditional steps of design thinking are empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. And instead of it being this step by step process, I think what most people find out in short order is that it's nonlinear and it's all over the
Mm,
place. And I think if you embrace the fact that it's okay to have no structure within the structure and to if you need to lean into more of the research phase and empathizing, if you need to lean into more of the ideation phase and do that, and then or go back to empathizing or go back to defining, stating the needs and problems, but that's okay. And in fact, I would say that that's encouraged to do that because a lot of times I think we wait too long to fail, and then you've spent a lot of money and you're going to spend a lot of money trying to fix it, where if you allow yourself, and hopefully you've in a way convinced a client to understand the importance of a design thinking methodology, you're actually saving money. You're actually getting products launched faster that are better because you've done the testing and rapid prototyping. And I think it's great for the entire team. Um, to me, when I hear the word design thinking, to me it means thoughtful problem solving. If I had to like really pare it down to three words, um, but yeah, that's essentially what it is, and what I see people doing and not doing that say that they use the methodology or don't.
And according to you, when and where we should use design thinking?
Well, here's the interesting part. I don't think that it has to just be digital projects or trying to solve design problems. You can use design thinking for literally anything. And in fact, I think you should. I think every team could and should embrace at least some version of it. Now, do you have to follow it to a T? I think, again, part of my original answer is no, you don't have to. I would honestly be shocked to find organizations and companies that do by the book design thinking. But I think that's the beauty of it, is that you make it sort of your own.
Yeah.
So say, for example, people that are listening to this, potentially watching this, are in the quote unquote design world, like yourself and myself. They're senior UX designers, they're lead UX designers, they're junior designers, they're UI, UX, whatever it is. You're design thinking, most of the time you think about a digital asset or digital experience or product. Where, take my kids, for example. If there's a tantrum, you know, why is the tantrum happening? I have to ask myself that before I immediately react. Now, this is a kooky example, but you know, it is what it is. And then figure out why is the tantrum happening and what are their needs? They don't just cry for no reason, although sometimes they do. Sometimes they do. There's always a reason for the screaming or the crying. And then you go, okay, maybe they're hungry. Maybe they pooped their pants. Maybe the older brother or sister took their toy out of their hand and ran away and threw it. So you're ideating on all these things that, okay, maybe if I give them the toy back, or maybe if I, put the cartoon on, the screaming or crying will stop. Maybe I change the diaper, it will stop. Maybe if I change the toy out, maybe it's a snack, whatever it is. So you're ideating on trying to solve the problem. And in that, I guess there could be a rapid prototype happening where you start to create solutions, you know? And if it doesn't work, what do you do? Well, let's ideate again. Let's try this again. Let's test this again. And then finally, hopefully, the baby or toddler stops crying or stops screaming. That's design thinking. And again, I go back to kind of what it is, and it's this a unique or a different way to approach and solve problems.
Exactly. Yeah. I think well said. I think it's not just limited to the digital product, but can be used anywhere in your life,
Oh yeah.
in whatever you do.
How a restaurant is laid out, how the
Yeah.
drive-through works, and how that works with inside the restaurant, how they communicate with each other, and how the customer experiences the entire restaurant experience, from from thinking about, oh, I'm hungry, to I'm done eating. There are so many steps along the way where you can apply it over and over and over again, and it should happen early and often, in my opinion.
Exactly. Exactly. And what things I like, or maybe the minimum requirement for anyone to start with a design technique?
Anybody can do it at any time, really, because you're going to mess up and
Yeah.
it's never going to be perfect. And that's why it's so great, because the process allows you to constantly be not great. So hopefully at the end, it is. If you don't do the process, if you find yourself just, which I see far too often, people diving right into high fidelity prototypes or diving right into solutions, you've missed so much of it. And the honest truth is, sometimes, very rarely, but sometimes, it renders a good result.
Yeah.
It's like winning the lottery.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
99.99999 times out of 10, it's crap. So make it your own. Check out, look at all the steps: empathy, define, ideate, prototype, test, and try to find your own vibe with it.
Exactly. Great. And is there something or maybe some tips, do's and don'ts when we are doing, or any designer, or not just the designers, but anyone who's practicing design thinking?
One of the big things is there's two things in my mind. Well, why do I put a number to it? I'll just say them all that come to my head. So the first this first idea, this first concept of empathy, it's unfortunate how many people, and I've said this before in my podcast, but how many people stand on top of a mountain with a flag that says empathy. They're waving it in their arms and they stab it into the mountain and they say, "Here I am, I'm empathetic." But at the end of the day, they're actually rather self serving. They're actually rather um, ego driven. When it takes a lot to truly be empathetic. It is a it has been buzzwordized beyond belief, but it is not a buzzword. The problem is that it has become a buzzword because of ego, because of self-servedness, and because it is a popular thing to draw in people to organizations and companies and products. Also, in the ideation phase, I would say that there's no such thing as a bad idea. There's no such thing as a stupid question. Just get it out there and be as open and public about it as you can within the context of your work. There's a big whiteboard. Invite people in if there's a Zoom to your ideation sessions and all the entire process, really. But just get everything out. And you never know what happens if you think something is stupid and you put it up on the board and you're like, well, I don't know. And then somebody else might go, oh, you know what? Maybe not that, but what about this? So it's this old in improv. I used to teach improv and do acting in improv, but it's this whole idea of yes and, where if you're in a scene with someone on stage and they do a setup or they present what could be landing in a joke, and you say no or you close off the scene, suddenly everything dies. The audience is taken out of it. There's nothing funny happening. But if you say yes and in your head, and there's the ellipses, the three dots, it keeps the scene moving and it keeps the energy going and it keeps the audience engaged. And you're feeding off of each other's energy. And the same goes with ideation sessions. If you can get more than just yourself doing it and ideating on something, you will win. You will win for the user. Going at it alone is like trying to sail a huge ship by yourself, and you're just going to get I think that's where people get caught up and they fall off of the path and they get burnt out and they start cutting corners. And then lastly, in the testing phase, this is very important. It's something I learned um, about 5 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, was I had to change my mindset going into testing, where I used to go in and I would get upset, watching and listening to users testing the prototype. Say, why aren't they getting it? Oh, they're so stupid. The button's right there. The link is right there. The arrow's right there. The button's right there. And again, I wasn't being empathetic and I wasn't truly trying to make a great product. I was trying to get a reward for my clever and brilliant and beautiful design that ended up
Exactly.
not being clever, beautiful, and brilliant. Now I go into testing going, please rip this to shreds. I want this to have more holes than a block of Swiss cheese. Just shred it up. Because from there, I can go back to step one, empathize, define, ideate, prototype, test again. And then hopefully the next time it's a little bit better. So that's what those are my big pieces of advice where I see some pitfalls happening and how to overcome that.
Great advice, and a lot of things to take away, especially the improv thing that you mentioned. That's really a good thing to keep everyone active.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true.
Great, great, Tony. So we are done. And thank you so much for taking out time for us today and being in the show. I hope
Of
this
course.
will help.
Well, certainly. And if anybody sees this or listens to this and has any questions, wants to reach out, just hit me up on email, hello at tonydosat.com or my Instagram, tony.ux.
Yes, I'll put all the links and all the website and the Instagram link in the description of the video so people can use it
Awesome.
and see it. Cool. Thank you, Tony. Thanks a lot.
All right. Have a good one.
Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.